Okay, a very good evening to all. Once again, after taking a quick health break, now we are moving to the session 4 on the day 2. We have two speakers all joining us all the way from France, Madam Sylvie and Prof. Vellas, and we have the moderator, Prof. Dr. Victory and Dr. Jitish. So as a quick reminder, open your camera during the digital photo session only. Mute mic for the participants has been done all the time. Please post your questions only in the Slido. People who have joined this previous session, the same code. For the new members, we will show the Slido information in the next slide. Posted questions in the Zoom chat will not be entertained. And also we kindly request all the participants to use your full name for the attendance and certificate. A poll will be released in Zoom after the beginning of the interactive Q&A. The Slido informations, the QR code. Our team members will also post the link in the chat. So without further ado, let me introduce the moderator for the session 4, Tourism, Public Politics and Sustainability, and also Sustainability, Tourism and SME Development. The moderator for this session is none other than our Prof. Dr. Victor V from Taylor's University, Malaysia. Prof. Victor V has worked with the government organization, ministry with the various positions, and he is well known in the Asia Pacific, and also he has worked with various projects in Europe. So without further ado, I will hand over the virtual screen to Prof. Dr. Victor V. Prof, is your turn now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kandappa, and a very good day to everyone. Welcome to the CRiT Summer School. We are in day 2 now and session 2. And today we have two speakers who will be speaking from France on sustainable tourism with regards to public policy as well as SME development. You know, tourists are drawn to cities for the great attractions they offer. You have the historical monuments, the museums, the art galleries, the convention halls, dining, shopping, entertainment, and all that. And authorities involved in city management welcome the development of urban tourism because of its contribution to income, to employment, to the vitality of the city, as well as the kind of boost that they give to cultural and social growth. Yet, the paradox of urban tourism is that tourists are selective in using a very small portion of all the city has to offer, and their stay tends to be rather short. Now, before the pandemic, some popular cities have become victims to mass tourism, sometimes called over-tourism, and these impose heavy strains on the city infrastructure and leave a wake of economic and environmental damage. Now, the challenge for any city management is how to use regulations, public service, and public policy to take care of the sustainability of the city while making their city more attractive to tourists as well as residents. Now, it will be interesting to see how this issue is being tackled in Europe. Our first speaker is Miss Sylvie Rouillon, Valdiguié. Now, as you know, Toulouse, France, and is the center of the European aerospace industry, the Airbus. Now, besides being the former deputy mayor, she was also the vice president of Toulouse Metropole in charge of tourism for 6 years. She's now a director with SR Council. It is a consulting and training company in strategy and project management. I would like to invite Ms. Sylvie to speak on tourism, public policies, and sustainability. Ms. Sylvie?
Yes, thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This short paper relates vision and reality of a local representative, former deputy mayor of a city, French city, Toulouse, of 500,000 people, and past VP of metropolitan area of 1 million. I was in charge of the economic development, mainly thanks to tourism. My target was to coordinate actions engaged as well by private companies as by public agencies. In this respect, I was in charge to imagine the future of the city by facilitating the tourism growth, keeping in mind the compulsory respect of sustainability and particularly the objective 11 of SDG. The 11th objective SDG is to rehabilitate and plan cities. In French, we said tourisme bienveillant. From my own experience, I suggest to follow 6 main rules. First, we never forget to give importance to human relationships. Foreign visitors are interested by historical monuments, castles, churches, old streets, old dwellings, cultural traditions, and ways of life. The monuments...
Pardon, Miss Sylvie, can we have a full screen of your slide?
Oh, yes,
yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Merci,
Yes.
merci.
Merci. Yeah, that's right. No, it's better now.
Okay.
Okay.
The monuments must be restored and their presentation supplemented by the history of man. As a matter of fact, it is necessary to add to the fame and knowledge of the whole city a commitment on being a creative city by creating new events, festivals, as for instance, Avignon for theater or Marcillac for jazz, Arles for photos. We must develop the idea of creative cities, incubator of good practices for governing, consuming, and produce. We must set up the sharing process and avoid the destruction of neighborhood lives and use the history of places. You see 2 examples. The Louvre-Lens is the realization of a hope of renewal for the mining basin, carried by both its inhabitants and local authorities. This fundamentally original project responds to an unprecedented museum responsibility to engage in the social and economic revitalizations of the territory. And the second, Luma to Arles. Arles is a city of France, the south of France, represents the new life of agricultural workshops. Be a creative city, but don't forget that smiling welcome is always a priority. I think that tourism is not a common making profit business. It should always carry high values, such as a part of dream and the willingness to share cultural backgrounds and tradition. We would like to open up this knowledge to the local citizens, and we are responsible for installing this democratic sharing process. Public policy it challenged to integrate local culture with the image of the city in the world. You see the example of Londres with a Brick Lane Market or a Bangladesh Mela. We have an annual event with integrate culture, local culture. Resident, visitor, and summers must exchange, and the city must organize this. Conventions are an opportunity to create a relation with people and researchers and university. We will establish a digital strategy implementing the relevant tools in order to connect the territory and people. We will create a smart city, a connected city. The city is viewed as a unique space where technology facilitates the daily lives of locals and visitors alike. Wi-Fi, connection in public space, connected street furniture, parking space detection, high-speed broadband, and open data, and promote the development of applications of services for tourists, shopping, mobilities, hotels. Your city is therefore always accessible. We wish to associate public and private actors in tourism. Public funding is becoming more and more difficult to implement. It is imperious necessity to join public and private investors in order to optimize impact of investments. Public-private partnership, PPP, should be in the future the better way for touristic growth. The businesses in the area become our stakeholders. In France, EPL, Entreprise Public Local, are more and more efficient thanks to sharing of financial means and goals. Because we must reinforce the efficiency of public actions. PPP partnerships must grow in all countries of the world. And you can engage in sustainable practice together with hotel, restaurant agencies. For example, Göteborg is a world-leading destination for sustainable meetings and events. All leading venues are eco-certified, and almost 100% of the hotel rooms hold an official eco-certification making. It's very important. Göteborg, one of the greenest hotel cities in the world. The Opera House, Concert Hall, and the amusement park are eco-certified, and restaurants have easy access to local and organic produce. Authorities, academia, and industry work together to the Göteborg. Bring nature back to the city and promote it is another important thing. Open park and, oh, sorry, I don't see. No more. All surveys show that walks or garden discoveries are popular places for tourists. Implement greenliness everywhere as possible. Trees, flowers will make the city more attractive and enjoyable. And ask yourself the question, does destination offer public bicycle sharing facility for visitors? How many kilometers of bicycle paths and lanes are there? Does destination offer electrical vehicle charging station? Promote the places and create activities for all is very important. For example, Singapore or Toulouse communicate on their gardens or natural places. Turn city in the vicinity into alleys. The complementary nature of the offer provides the neighboring city is nowadays a determining factor when selecting a destination. Leisure tourism, entertainment and activities vary and visitors can choose from all the offers available. This way, they may extend their stay or they can repeat their stay. Business travel, a variety of city center amenities, and for MICE clients, we organize entertainment. We reinforce our own attractiveness thanks to the diversity of our offer. We also guarantee the coherence of actions and cultural policies. More than ever, the richness of cultural offer is an essential factor for selecting a destination. We also guarantee the coherence of action and cultural policies. More than ever, the richness of cultural offer is an essential factor for selecting a destination. Ask the city service to work in synergy, because an attractive touristic city must be accessible, clean, and safe. City service have to work together in synergy. For major issues, have a strong impact on daily life of local people and visitors. And it's more important for the 4 major issues. Access and mobilities. We have improved means of communications to reach the city, roads, high-speed railways, airport, with a broad airline network. Public transportation inside town and between major touristic spots should be enhanced and facilitated by underground lines, bus or tramways. In this way, major programs relating to the accessibility of our cities and of our heritage sites are notably subject to studies and planning processes that give consideration to families, to persons with reduced mobility, and to tourists. A special attention should be reserved to pedestrian areas and bicycle alleys. For the cleanliness of the town, we engage public campaigns of communications and make sure that garbage collection and street washing are ensured at least once a day. Our city council has increased the number of the city's policemen and of video recording cameras in strategic places in order to secure safety of visitors. The city of Zurich, who are a sustainable destination certificate, is committed to researching these ambitious targets in various ways. It promotes efficient energy use and the use of renewables such as environmental heat, solar power, solar collectors, or district heat with environmentally friendly means of public transport, and it acts as an example when it commits to its own properties. Accessibility is for all and all places. Goldberg's approach to sustainability has gained international recognition. The city is a 4-year consecutive leader in the Global Destination Sustainability Index and was the European capital of smart tourism in 2020. The subject of accessibility is central, and there is broad cooperation between administrations and companies. These few were my strong conviction, and I was glad to share them today with you. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Sylvie, for your very illuminating presentation on issues pertaining to city management. Now we will move on to the next speaker, and this is looking at sustainable tourism and SME development. You know, tourism is characterized by a dual economic structure. At one level, you have international travel and the tourism industry being composed of large companies that organize international tourism. They include, for instance, the aviation industry, the hotel chains such as Hilton and Marriott, and so on. But at the same time, in many tourism destinations, especially in the developing countries, it is the SMEs and as well as the MSEs. These are the small and medium enterprises. The MSE is micro small enterprises. These small enterprises are the ones that offer tourism services. For instance, like accommodation, catering, doing excursions, leisure activities, handicrafts, and so on. The small and medium enterprises, as well as the micro small enterprises, are really very important in giving income and employment to those who are engaged with the tourism industry, as well as to the dependents. So the family members depend on the income, the income earner that is engaged in the tourism industry. So one main challenge is how can we continue to support SMEs in tourism while creating a greater sense of environmental awareness so that tourism can be developed in a sustainable manner. Now, our speaker to address the issue of sustainable tourism and SME development is very well qualified to speak on this topic. He is Professor François Vellas, who is the Professor of International Economics at the University of Toulouse. He has vast experience in collaborating with the UN and the EU agencies, and is the expert in tourism policy and strategies for international agencies such as UNCTAD, EU, and the UNWTO. He is the president of International Association of Universities of Third Age and the World Senior Tourism Congress. He's written about a dozen books and has written many reports on international economics, air transportation and tourism, as well as has been invited as a keynote speaker to many international conferences and seminars. Professor Vellas has been the UNWTO advisor on tourism development policy and wellness and medical tourism strategy for the Shandong province in China. He has also been the advisor of tourism ministers and directors on tourism development and strategies in Europe, in Americas, in Asia, and Africa. So with that, I would like to invite Professor Vellas to speak on this topic.
Yes, I am looking to my PowerPoint. I'm sorry. How can I do? I am what, one minute. Oh, okay. So now I will just, yes. Okay, is it working now?
Yes, it's good,
Yes,
Prof.
thanks
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Professor Victor V, for your so kind presentation. I would like to say that I am very glad to share with you this so important summer school with many participants from different countries in all over the world, mainly in Asia. It is for me a great honor and a great pleasure. First of all, I would like to indicate what would be our today purpose. It will be about sustainable tourism and SMEs. As you said, Professor V, SMEs is so important for tourism development. This is the most important part because we are very often looking to the big firms, but you must consider that the most important part of tourism and hospitality accommodation is, and restaurant, of course, is a small and medium enterprise. Or there is something quite problematic, is that the big firms, they have a lot of action in terms of sustainability. If you look to the governments, they are doing a lot as well on policy to look on sustainability. But in many policies, from government, from the national level, regional level, local level, the role and the importance of SMEs in regards of sustainability is not looked at. That means that a lot of SMEs, they are a little bit lost in terms of sustainability. So they cannot reach the expectation of the clients. And if they don't reach the expectation of the clients, they will not succeed in terms of business and in terms of profitability. So what I would like to indicate today is what would be the possibilities for SMEs to reach the goal in terms of sustainability. I shall speak about, first of all, the problem, the global problem of sustainable tourism. It will be very short, but it's important. Then I will focus on indicators for SMEs, indicators of sustainability. Then I will present some tools that we have already invested on. Then we shall look to the transfer of technology. That is very important for SMEs to reach sustainability. And if I have time, I shall provide you some examples, some concrete examples. So now about sustainability issues. Look at this table. you must consider that now international tourism is not sustainable because of the unbalance of the tourism flow. Here I took only one example from Southeast Asia and South Asia. You see that in South Asia, with more than 1 billion population, 1.4 population, they get only 34 million survivors. If you compare with Hong Kong, Singapore, and Malaysia, you see that these three countries are the double of the whole South Asia. And in terms of revenue, it is the same. If we look now to Africa, it is an imbalance as well. Here I took Morocco, Tunisia, South Africa. You can see that this represents 32.5 million, and the whole sub-Saharan Africa is only 34.3. And in terms of international receipt, it is the same. So that means that sustainability is a very big issue in terms of balance between tourism development between countries. Or, if we look to the main international organization, here you have the World Bank in black. What does the World Bank in terms of development of sustainable tourism? They invest with government on policies to develop sustainability. But these policies are not focusing on SMEs. This is the same for the World Tourism Organization that provide guidelines, but don't work directly to SMEs. This is the case for UNCTAD that try to fight the imbalance between the most developed tourism country and the other, but they are not working too much. We have three other organizations. Here you can see the International Trade Organization, the UNESCO, and Untitled Chapter. These ones are trying to do something in favor of the SMEs. The International Trade Center is financing programs to develop SMEs in tourism. But these programs are more a way to provide subsidies than a way to help the SMEs to be better in terms of sustainability by themselves. You see what I am telling? I am telling that this organization, when they are looking to SMEs, is as financial subsidies, is not as methodology. Or the SMEs, they can do by themselves, but for that, they need methodology. So finally, what do we have? We have a problem of weak application of sustainable tourism principle by SMEs. And this problem is higher for very small enterprises. We have a problem of lack of methodology and good practices for tourism SMEs. We have a problem as well on lack of technology transfer, of mechanism to help SMEs to reach the sustainable expectation. So what to do now? We see that it is doing a lot at the international level in terms of sustainability. It is doing a lot on government side, on big firms. Accor Hotel, for instance, they have a charter for sustainability. But we see that despite many actions from international organizations, the result is not as much as it can be expected. That means that most of SMEs are still lost in terms of sustainability. This is why I would like to and of course, the goals that we are working on during this summer school, of course, the goals such as the poverty reduction or poverty alleviation cannot be reached because of this lack of methodology. So what I would like to indicate during this presentation on this second point, as you can see, is what kind of methodology can be adapted to SMEs to help them to reach a better sustainability. For that, we need to look at sustainable indicators. But there is a problem because there are so many sustainable indicators that is very difficult to tell to a small enterprise or a very small enterprise, well, take the indicators and manage by yourself. So the methodology is to choose the most relevant indicators in regards of the SMEs, but not only in regard of the SMEs, in regard of the destination. Because if you are a mountain destination, if you are seaside destination, if you are urban destination, of course, the indicators will not be exactly the same to help SMEs to be more relevant. So for that, it is important to design, to choose some indicators inside the three main families of sustainable indicators that are environmental indicators, social indicators, economic indicators. So of course, during this class today, I cannot provide all the details of that. I am very happy to provide you the main aspect of the methodology. So the main aspect is to choose, depending of the destination, depending of the SMEs, what are the most relevant indicators between these three categories. But as you can see in the slides, it is important as well to add some new indicators, such as cultural or ethics or technological indicators. Now, I give you some, I can provide you some example. Look at that very quickly. Of course, as it is SMEs, the methodology to choose this indicator need to take in mind the easiest way of managing these indicators. That means the easiest way of collecting these indicators. Now I give you some information about the environmental indicator. One of the most important of that is all indicators regarding the waste treatment. That means sewage, liquid and solid. How do they manage this waste treatment? And another indicator that is very important in many places, I think not in Malaysia because there is a lot of water, but in other destinations, are the use of water. But even if you have a lot of water, the use of water is still very important. And a lot of SMEs are not doing enough care of that. About the pollution, of course, and so look at how to manage for SMEs the liquid waste indicator or solid waste indicator. It is to have a percentage of waste, liquid waste collected or treated for cleanest. So you see how does it work? The local authorities in a destination, such as Penang, for instance, will have a reference percentage for liquid waste. Perhaps it can be 100%. Perhaps it could be 80 or 60%. If the small and medium enterprise can reach this percentage, they have the mark yes or A. If they cannot reach this percentage, they are B or insufficient. So this is a way for this kind of indicators for them to have a kind of blackboard where they can manage themselves their sustainability. One more example about social and economics indicators. We have employment, we have indicator of satisfaction of local population. I shall choose this one as an example. Then we have safety, we have public health, we have impact is very important as well on local production. My colleague Sylvie spoke on that. Look at this one. Think about how a small and medium enterprise can be aware of the satisfaction of the local population. How can they measure that? They can provide, they can develop some tool that is a statistical tool to have an idea of the satisfaction of the local population. What is this tool? This tool is a percentage, as you can see on the slide, of the locals that go to the restaurant of the hotel, of small and medium hotel, or they go to the rooms, to the accommodation. So if the locals can be the national, the local can be the regional, the local can be the district, the municipality. If some locals go for a restaurant or for bar in this small and medium enterprise, that means that they enjoy to go. So that means that they are satisfied to go to these SMEs. So even if the percentage of foreign guests is very important, if there is even a very small percentage, that could be 5–10% of the customer that belongs from the local, this is for the SMEs a way of measuring the satisfaction. And the satisfaction of the local is one of the most important points in terms of sustainability. That means that the local will accept the tourism development. And why do they accept this tourism development? Because they will be part of the tourism development. They will be the same. We have a mix between the foreigners and the locals. And even if this mix, I said again, is only 5%, it is enough for an indicator of satisfaction of the local population. Now, one indicator in this time of pandemic is, of course, the public health indicator. And one of the ways for the small and medium enterprise to communicate on sustainability in terms of health is the distance and the access in terms of access time to the near doctor or the near pharmacy. This is a way to put the client more confident on what they can expect when they go to a destination and they choose to go in a small or small size hotel or accommodation. Now, there is always the indicator that all of you, dear participants, know. It is impact of local production. But the impact of local production seems something very often for SMEs, it is something that it is theoretical because they don't know how to manage that. Why? Because the small and medium enterprise, they can have a deal with fishermen or with agriculture. But if they want to provide a high standard quality, sometimes in many countries, in many destinations, they cannot go on with this deal with the local producer because the local producer, they are not in capacity to provide all the year round quantity and quality. Sometimes the quality is not enough. Sometimes the quantity sometimes is very high and sometimes very low. So for a restaurant, if they need, for instance, 50 or 40 lobster every day, they cannot have 100 lobster one day and only 2 lobster on another day. So this is one of the most important points. So if we have a percentage of local purchase by SMEs that find a solution to this big problem of impact on local production, this is very important in terms of sustainability. And it will be a very good point for them. So now, how to, about the new indicators. It is very important as well to see on sustainability for SMEs to provide some important point on the cultural indicators. And that could be reached easily by SMEs, to have some musical activities, to have some artwork as decoration in their establishment. As well, you can see that new indicator is a new technology. I shall speak about that. And after, protection of children, it is always very important. So now, how to manage that? First, the local authorities select some indicators. Second, local authorities put some references on local indicators. Third, each SMEs do his own evaluation of the indicators. And after that, they can see where there are. If, for instance, you have 20 indicators, if they have more than 2/3 as good result, they are A. If they have middle, is B. Is it not enough, is C. So with this indicator, the small and medium enterprise can manage by themselves their sustainability. They can say that I am not so good in satisfaction of local population, so I will have a special action to that. Or they say, I am very good in terms of health, so I shall communicate of that. And what do they expect from these indicators and this system? They will expect a better profitability, because never forget that for firms, profitability is absolutely the most important. I don't want to say that it is the only important, but of course it is the most important, because if they don't have profitability, they will collapse and they will never reach, of course, sustainability. And now I show you an example of that. Here I participated to many studies, many reports, many actions on that all over the world. This is one in one of the most least developed countries in the world, that is Madagascar. Even in Madagascar, in this place called Antsirabe, you can have some small hotel, you see, only 8 rooms, la chambre du voyageur, to get 17 good indicators in comparison of 18. So they are A+. if you have another hotel that is here, that is bigger, 34 rooms, you have the photo here, you see, he get only 9 in comparison of 17. So he is B. So he has a lot of to do in terms of improving sustainability. Now, I would like to indicate, I see that I have 8 minutes, I have 3 more points to develop, so I shall be quick on each, and if you if you have some question, we can come back on that. First of all, about the tools for tourism sustainability for SMEs, we have different tools I can show you. So this is the tools in terms of indicators for sustainability. You see, Acting for Life is one of the most important NGO in France that proceed from the airlines and the tourism sector that decided to develop non-profit action to develop SMEs. So I am one of the scientific director of this organization, and we provide some books and a booklet about this aspect of sustainability. As well, here you can see some tools on one of the most important goals that we are working during these days, during this summer school, that is poverty reduction. And here you have as well good practice for poverty reduction. This one is in French in the photo, but we have as well in English. Then we have about technological transfer, as well some handbook of technological transfer to help the SMEs when they identify some goals in terms of sustainability. If they need technological transfer, they need to have as well a kind of methodology for that, because they cannot afford very often for this technological transfer. And now, something very important for SMEs. Think about SMEs, you know, is a small firms. But small firms doesn't mean that there are not employees. So in the firms, the employees are the most important part of the business. And we need to have some tools to provide sustainable content to the employees. And the employees in small and medium tourism and hospitality firms are not very educated. Some of them can be, but most of them are not so much educated. So in this case, we need to have specific tools with a lot of image to put them aware of sustainability. So here you have some example of the booklet that we could translate in Sinhalese, in Sri Lanka, in Indonesian, in Thai, in Portuguese, in Laotian, in Cambodian, in Chinese, and so on. And these tools will provide, I can show you, some very precise and very concrete guidelines on the methodology of do or don't. Do what you need to do to respect sustainability and what you don't need to do. So we have this one here, you see, for green kitchen, for instance. We have for save our environment, do and don't. To waste treatment, do and don't, again, and so on. So you see, the tools for sustainability for SMEs are, on one hand, methodology based on indicators, and on the other hand, this booklet providing to the employees. Now, one word about sustainable transfer. this is very important to reach the expectation for the small and medium enterprise. And I would like to focus only on one point, that is the cluster strategy. Because if we want to develop technology to help the small and medium enterprise, we, of course, can have the FDI, we can have the franchising, we can have the joint venture, we can have networking, but the most important is cluster strategy. That means that for that, it's very important, I said, Sylvie, just before, to have a public-private partnership to develop this cluster, to provide to the SMEs the best to help them to reach sustainability. And now I would like to end with some examples in Sri Lanka, in Indonesia, in Thailand, and as well Mauritius, Brazil. I show you only a few points. Here you have the example in Sri Lanka. What are the examples? It is an action plan for small and medium enterprise to reach sustainability in terms of tourism and hospitality. So you can see that the methodology is well adapted, but there are still some problems, such as about the rubbish or the waste, that is very difficult to manage. In Indonesia, it is in the Way Island, in a part of Indonesia with some diving tourism, and this action as well are very important. Here you have in Thailand, the small islands in southern Thailand, and then in Brazil, in Foz do Iguaçu as well, where we have this. I am sorry to go quick, but I want to respect the time due. So only to conclusion, what I want to say that the SMEs are at the heart of sustainability. As you can see, sustainability is for government, for developer, for local population, for tourists, but the most important is for the SMEs. And finally, that's all. So thanks a lot, and I am very glad to share you all this experience based on academic work, based on methodology, and based on practical way, because this is the important point to reach in terms of sustainability, is to be practical. Thank you very much, Dr. V.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Vellas. Wonderful presentation. I think the two presentations we had this afternoon is filled with a lot of substance because of the practical experience of both Ms. Sylvie as well as Professor Vellas. Wonderful. Now, just a very quick summary of what was presented by Ms. Sylvie. Where public policies are really important for the development of cities because they're a center of business, commerce, and culture and entertainment and all that. And Ms. Sylvie has actually shown us how, by using 6 rules, that you could help to develop cities. Number one is to give the importance to human relationship, and the development of any cities must bring in human relationships and involve people. And this idea of having creative cities by having monuments, creative sites with good practices of governing, consuming, and production. And of course, it also provides an opportunities for the interaction and exchange between the residents, between the visitors and consumers. Number two, there is also the need for some digital strategy in order to connect the territory with the people, to create a smart and interconnected city that links the daily lives of the locals with that of the visitors. And also to engage, number three is to engage companies to become stakeholders. We motivate companies to be engaged in the public and tourism activities and develop PPP partnerships and sustainable practices. And the other idea is to bring nature back into the cities, and where we also need to turn cities together with the vicinity into allies, and eventually to ask the city services to work in synergy, because there are certain areas of interactions on security and safety, access to intercity mobility, public cleanliness and waste management. And also Ms. Sylvie was talking about installing video recording cameras for the safety of visitors, usage of solar power, having environmentally friendly public transportation, and accessibility for all and at all places. So that is in summary of what Ms. Sylvie has mentioned, and certainly it really clearly shows her experience as a deputy mayor and being involved in tourism and all that. So thank you so much. And now moving on to Professor François Vellas, who was talking about how we talk about sustainability. We want the SMEs to be involved in sustainability, but the truth of it is that SMEs and MSE are actually lost. They are not given the tools. They don't even know what to do. How do they get involved in activities like that? And given the experience of Professor Vellas, who has been involved in international organizations like the world, I mean, if you look at the work of the World Bank, UNCTAD, UNESCO's, sometimes they deal with the governments, but they're actually taking it from a helicopter level. They do not really come down to the ground to come up with tools. So what Professor Vellas has done was to give us some concrete SME sustainable tourism indicators that could actually be used by the SMEs to know how they are doing, to be used as a way of monitoring, how sustainable they are, and also to use as a diagnostic tool to know what they are lacking in, right? And of course, when we talk about sustainability, we bring about the environmental, social, and economic indicators. But Professor Vellas says we also need to bring other things as well, such as things that are connected to the city, like such as indicators of cultural, ethics, and technical indicators, and has given us very good examples of how these indicators that are actually put into booklets actually, and could actually be transmitted and be used by the SMEs at destinations. And it is only by being concrete like this that we can actually get results. Otherwise, we might talk about all the grand goals and the SDGs and all that, but actually the SMEs are completely lost and don't expect anything to happen because of that. So that is in brief the summary of Professor Vellas, who has been involved in many consulting activities. So thank you so much for the two presentations. Now we have an interactive session where we have question and answer. So
also we have a Zoom poll before while we ask the question to speakers. Actually, we can have the Zoom poll.
Yes, thank you so much. We are going to have a Zoom poll. A question as some questions will be put on the screen, and please vote. Okay, and then we will see what the votes are. Do you want to take your time? Very quickly.
Prof. Victor, you can go ahead with the questions.
Okay, now we will go on with the questions. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can key in your votes, yes, and the results of which is going to be presented later on, right?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Now there are some questions. This is a question. How do we foresee the changes that is happening in the public policies with regards to sustainability practices and supporting the SDG post-COVID-19? how do you foresee the changes that is happening in the public policies? So what are the changes that is happening in the public policies that correspond to sustainable practices and to support the SDGs after the COVID-19 is behind us? Professor Vellas, thank you. Yes.
What I can say is this question is very important, and we must consider that public authority didn't answer yet to this question, because they are so working on the emergency in regard of the crisis that they are not looking on what could be after or at the end of this crisis. So, but your question is important because it is not good to focus only on emergency. They need, of course, to focus on emergency, but they need as well to look at what could be the new practice in terms of sustainability regarding the post-pandemic. And for that, there is something new that we didn't look enough before, is all the health and safety contents of tourism. We were working a lot on airport, on terrorism, for instance, but not on health. And now it will be a lot of change for hotels, for providers, from airlines, for hospitality sector in terms of health content. And this is a big challenge for SMEs because again, the SMEs cannot invest as much as the other firms, big firms, in terms of health security or safety. So thank you for your question, but this is a big field now to go on.
Yes, thank you, Professor Vellas. Now, there's a question for Miss Sylvie. This person who asked the question says it's very well and good that Miss Sylvie, you have presented the list of strategies, but could we continue to use these strategies in the light of the impact that we're having from the COVID-19 pandemic? In other words, do the 6 strategies that you presented, do they need any form of adjustments, or can we continue using them after COVID-19?
Oh, the pandemic is very difficult to say that the future prevision and au secours François, est-ce que je peux peut-être te faire traduire? Je pense qu'en fait, en termes de pandémie, c'est ça la question, hein? Comment on va adopter nos politiques publiques par rapport à la pandémie? Oui. Je pense qu'on a déjà beaucoup justement d'indicateurs et que on peut faire participer toutes les parties prenantes pour arriver à justement trouver des solutions. En fait, c'est le fait de parler ensemble qui va permettre de trouver des solutions, et c'est quelque chose qu'on n'avait pas fait avant et qu'on fait maintenant.
The most relevant way is to put together all the stakeholders to try to find a solution on a new way of policy. But we need to invent that. Is sharing with us, Sylvie.
Yes. So thank you, Prof. Vellas, for doing the translation. Yeah, then we can understand that. It's good. Now, there is another question here. When we talk about accessibility, does it mean accessibility for the disabled people who might be able to enjoy the tourism attraction? How are we going to implement it? Who have the authority on this?
I leave to Sylvie, but what I want to say, to add, is accessibility is not only handicapped person. Accessibility now is one of the most important part of the tourism demand, that are the oldest person. That means the seniors, that some of them, not all of them, they have problem of handicap as well. So as the population of seniors, and we are working on that a lot in the International Association of the University of Age, linked with the World Senior Tourism Congress, we are working a lot on this aspect, is how to provide new tourism product to this category of population, of demand, of tourism demand, that will be higher and higher in the future. And this is part as well of sustainability, because sustainability is to have, as you know, nobody behind the way we are going. So for that, it's important to innovate in terms of tourism product. And one of the innovations we are working on is a senior study tour. What that means? That means that seniors with handicap or not handicap, both, will go first, when they go to visit a destination, they will go first to the university to benefit from some lecture on arts, on history and other, and after that, they will go to visit the place. So this is part of the new aspect of the new policies that are implemented in connection with municipality, university, tourism providers to join the expectation of this category of population.
Okay, yes.
And
so
you have something to add? Tu veux ajouter quelque chose, Sylvie?
Okay. There's a question here of what would be the specific objective to build capacity for sustainable growth of SMEs in the tourism sector? What would be the specific objective to build capacity?
To build capacity for
SMEs in the tourism sector.
As far as I know, and that join what we are doing at the university, is two main aspects. First aspect is awareness, such as the concrete way of the booklet I could show on my presentation. So the first is awareness to the manager, awareness to the employees. And second, when you are aware, you know what is missing for you. So the second is some technical seminar, technical training to reach and to know how to reach the expectation. But if you don't have the awareness, you will not think of what you need in terms of training. If you have the awareness, you will say, well, now I need to know more on environment, for instance. And so I shall have a training on how to manage the environment in my firm. So this is, from my experience, I don't want to say that there is not other answer about that, but from my experience, this is the two main points. First, awareness, then training. And from that, we can reach the second step, that is, of course, investment to upgrade.
So these are some concrete measures proposed by Professor Vellas. And certainly he mentioned about the importance of using the indicators, what he has presented, that could actually be used by the SMEs to know what are the areas they are lacking. And because we do have expectations for SMEs, but unless they know what are the areas that they are short in, they would not know how to do. After identification of the areas of weaknesses or areas that needs help, that needs strengthening, this is how you can provide technical training in order to build up the capacity of the SMEs. And of course, there is also the need for investments in order to upgrade capacity of the SMEs, right? So that is in relation to the question. Professor, there's a lot of questions on your side. The questions I'm getting are all on SMEs. There is one which says that after COVID-19, do you envision to have new indicators that would be included for your SME sustainable indicators?
Thanks as well for this question, because I agree, but I must say that we didn't look at that already, but we need to do, because of course we see that with the COVID-19, we could see that it is the whole sector, tourism sector, that is unsustainable. Because, you know, sustainable, you understand what means sustainable. Sustainable, that means that the development will continue. And with the COVID-19, we saw that not only the development didn't continue, but it fell. So, of course, we need urgently now to add to our social, economic, environmental indicators, and to add to the new indicator, culture, technical, and ethics, we need to add health indicator as a family of indicators, not only one indicator on health, but a family of indicators on health. So now, how to do that? To do that, remember, I know that we are at the university, but don't do that on a theoretical way. Of course, you can think on theoretical way, but just after, and we did that in all of my presentation, I didn't mention that. But what we did when we select indicator, first of all, we did the test, the evaluation of the indicator itself. And if the evaluation of the indicator itself is relevant, we keep it. So on this family of health indicator, my suggestion is to do the same methodology, to select with a doctor, with medicine expert, to select some health indicators, and then to test the indicators in regards of the tourism sector and in regards of the small and medium enterprise. And after that, to choose these indicators and to monitor these indicators.
All right, very good. Yes, thank you, Professor. Yeah, that's a good question. Professor Vellas says that actually, maybe this is something that we have to work on. We have not actually come up with an indicator for post-COVID. Clearly, we can see what COVID-19 has done to the tourism industry. When we talk about sustainability, the whole industry has come down. So, in fact, we need probably have to look for some new indicators, not just an indicator, standalone indicator, but maybe a family of indicators. And then you would have to go through the whole process of selecting, testing, and evaluating which are the indicators that would be valid, in order for us to incorporate together with the bigger body of indicators that we already have. Yeah. There is a question for Miss Sylvie. Miss Sylvie, you mentioned about using digital strategies and smart city technology that makes the cities more tourist ready. Can you elaborate on this question? It is okay for you to speak in French, but we will have to ask Prof. Vellas to help us with the translation.
Yes. Je crois, François, la question était autour des outils digitaux, c'est ça?
Sont mis en place pour le digital.
Et en fait, la principale réponse, c'est la connectivité des outils, l'open data et la connectivité des outils. The most important thing is the connectivity and open data, because you can tools can respond under And it's very important to have this connection. And information we can circulate and circulate, sorry. And it's the most important thing.
Yes, according to Ms. Sylvie, developing digital strategies and using technology is really important in order to get the whole city connected, and for the cities to be really tourist ready. In fact, I think Ms. Sylvie in her presentation has also given some examples of what is actually happening in Europe on how it can make the city more user friendly, much safer, and also providing information. For instance, now that you have like Internet of Things with high quality bandwidth, also to use data, making use of data to manage the flow of traffic, to manage the flow of tourists and of residents, because certain cities during peak seasons tend to be heavily congested. So you need to make use of smart technology to move people around. And then also telling the best time that people can visit certain museums so that it's not overcrowded. And these are all the data-driven ticketing schedules for museums and landmarks and all that. And this certainly will make the city more, more pleasant for a tourist visiting the city. It becomes safer. You know where to go. You can find information very easily with the information, and also giving tourism information, like what Professor Vellas was saying about the disabled. Send them to a place where they can get some kind of lecture so that they can get a perspective of what is really happening before actually visiting the site itself. Yeah. So these are really some important things that we should actually make use of the digital technology in order to improve the quality of our city tourism. So I think we have actually come to the end of our presentation. But before we come to the poll results, I must say that we are very grateful to the two wonderful speakers that we have. We have Miss Sylvie, Rouillon, Valdiguié. I'm sorry, my French is not good. And
my English not.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your experience and your contributions to the summer school this afternoon. So on behalf of everybody, I'll just clap on everybody, give a round of applause to our speakers. Thank you. So now I will hand you over to Dr. Kandapan in order to present us the poll result.
Thank you, Prof. Victor. Thank you for managing the moderation role. It's not an easy task with eminent speakers. I think with your experience, you have excellently done that and try to connect all the questions to really link it to the topic of today's and also sharing of the speakers. The poll results, I think we have 6 questions. The first question, combining sustainability and tourism policy is possible. Why? I think we got more voting on the third option, which is because compliance with the SDGs is favorable to all and inspire destinations. So SDGs should be always favorable to everyone. And the second question, what are the 4 major issues that affects the daily lives?
Dr. Kandapan, can you show us the results? Is it for display?
Yes. I think it is displaying, right?
No, we
yes.
don't. Hey?
Let me display again, but it's displayed actually.
Yeah. Because I just see the sign for poll results and I don't see
the
results.
Can you see the results, Prof?
I don't. I just see the screen. Hey? Maybe it's something wrong with my...
Others can see, right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sharing poll results.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. I'm sorry.
It's okay, bro.
Okay.
It happens.
All right.
Thank you. And the second question, what are the 4 major issues that affects the daily lives of residents? I think we had 3 choices. I think the many people, 73% have voted security, mobility, public cleanliness and accessibility. This is from almost like 258 voting, 73% we got. And the third question, I think, why digital strategies are essential. I think we got to make all information from the territory accessible to all, which we got 73%. And the question number 4, is it possible to evaluate the local community's involvement in sustainability? It is the yes or no questions. We got 98% yes. So that means everybody can understand the sustainability involves the local community evaluations. And number 5, to measure the satisfaction indicators from local communities, do we use what kind of survey, or is it a questionnaire or statistics? I think we got almost 2 closer things, questionnaire and field visits, because I think the sustainability also involves the local community.
Can I do a comment on this?
Yes, Prof.
Yes. You know, this question is a kind of shadow question, because you need to think on SMEs and sustainability. If you think on SMEs on sustainability, you need to think on the balance, how to do on a balance. And if you use questionnaire, it cannot work, because it's not possible to do a questionnaire to so many SMEs. This is why I put that, but I was expecting that most of the participants will say yes, questionnaire. But in fact, questionnaire is not relevant, because there are too many SMEs to implement questionnaire. If we do field visit, it's the same. It will be wonderful if we can do field visit to visit all the SMEs, but it cannot work. So the only way that is working is statistics. I mean, to ask each SME to provide a percentage of the clients that belong from locals or clients that belong from foreigners. This is quite easy for them. And they can provide these statistics, and we can have an idea on satisfaction for the SMEs, because they will provide their own evaluation. On questionnaire and field visit, it would be wonderful to do that. But in reality, it is not working, because there are too many SMEs. So it's a kind of question that I wanted to put for everybody to think more on the question of sustainability regarding SMEs. So thank you for participating.
Thank you, Prof, for explaining it very well. I think maybe it's because of the diverse culture here. Number 6, the last question, expectation from SMEs on sustainability is profitable. Yes, I think we got 80%, they say yes. So that really shows. Thank you so much to both speakers, Prof. Vellas as well as Prof. Sylvia, for giving the questions to run this poll. Let me move on to the next one, which is a feedback in the word cloud, which is already open now, which is the same Slido. Let me share the Slido QR code again, so that people can scan this, give your feedback in one word, so that we create the word cloud to share in a short while. Okay, so when you are doing that, we move on to the exciting part, which is a memory digital photo session. So let me stop sharing the screen. Dr. Jitesh, you will take the pictures, or?
Sure.
Okay. I will hand over the digital photo session to Dr. Jitesh.
So we have 10 pages.
And please open your cameras, everyone, to take the picture.
So we have 10 pages here, and I will be taking one by one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm on page number 2 now. 1, 2, 3. Page 3. 1, 2, 3. Page 4. 1, 2, 3. Page 5. 1, 2, 3. Page 6. 1, 2, 3. Page 7, 1, 2, 3. Page 8, 1, 2, 3. Page 9, 1, 2, 3. And the last page, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Back to you, Kandaban.
Thank you, Dr. Jitesh. Let me share the word cloud outcome.
Please.
It's loading. Yeah. Hope everyone can see that. Okay, those who have missed to scan the QR code, you can see in the screen on the left side. So still you can put your one word before you take your coffee cup, probably. So we got almost, I think the SME is bubbling up. Sustainability, the theme of the summer school, is also getting more attention. Session is informative because we had wonderful speakers from France. I think the sharing was really very informative and opens a lot of new research areas. Okay, so I think we have crossed over under. Okay, I request everybody to continue posting your one word so that we will take this as an acknowledgement later. Let me go back to the slides. Okay, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank the speakers and also all the participants. Before we go to the next session at 7 p.m. Malaysian timing, which is hospitality, tourism and hospitality, gender equality and women empowerment. So we have an interesting speakers joining us from Canada and Portugal, and we have moderator Dr. Rokshat and Ms. Karen. So probably you can take a quick health break or maybe a coffee break, and stay tuned, and we will see you all at 7 p.m. Thank you to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the moderator and speakers of today's again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Vellas.
Thank you.
Miss
Thank you,
Sylvie.
Prof. Vellas, Miss Sylvie.
Thank you, Prof.
Prof. Victor, thank you very much for
Yeah.
great moderation.
Yeah.
Dr.
And
Jitesh.
thanks
Thank you.
for Dr. Victor. It was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
so
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for insightful speeches.
Yes.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Miss Sylvie.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.